And we're back. Ladies and gentlemen, this is take two. Take two of our not so great expectations. Pro Wrestling Podcast. My name is Johnny Bottles. Welcome to the Squared Circle Maniacs Pro Wrestling Podcast channel. To my left is Dr. Don Wayne, the neckbeard psychologist from Twitter. He's talked many a neckbeard down off the ledge. Sometimes he's encouraged them to go off the ledge. Don, what we're about to talk about? Don, we're still at 0, Don.
Yeah, I'm watching right now. It's still showing 0 on the spouse's phone. I think we have a serious problem tonight here going on. There we go. It's suddenly jumping. Are we live now?
It's jumping up. We've got 5.
Folks, sorry about this. We don't know if we're actually live yet or what's going on. If you guys could see us, can you give us a thumbs up in the chat? We're live. All right. Hot damn.
We are live.
If it ain't one thing, it's another. We say lowered expectations, and by God, we deliver. Oh, my God, folks. It's been a rough week as a wrestling fan. We started off talking to no one. We are now talking to a few of you. We apologize again for the technical delays. It is not our fault, I promise you. We are trying to deliver a good quality, if not entertaining program. And we started off talking about Raw with just apparently me, you, and my 2 dogs, because no one else and their mother could hear us when we started this show tonight. But we're here now. So my dog's got an entire rundown on how bad and boring Raw was. So let's give it just one more time. I'm not going to go down the whole thing again because we've done this once. There was very little to talk about from Raw that was worth writing home to mom about.
Very little.
The part that was worth... Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
The part that was worth talking to mom about, writing home, was the Seth Rollins coming out with the CM Punk and the Drew McIntyre. They had a good little segment. They had a good time going. You knew Seth Rollins was going to come out in the most flamboyant shit you've ever seen for a ref shirt. You knew that was coming. And he decided to go with the Seinfeld puffy shirt episode edition of a wrestling gear. I thought that was very fitting. As soon as I saw it, I said, he has watched that Seinfeld episode 1,000,000 times and has been waiting on the opportunity to bust out his own puffy shirt. Raw, that was it. That was the big moment. To me, just me, I know Seth Rollins is a star. I know he has a lot to offer to this match. To me, it felt like they were running into each other in this segment. It was still a good show. It just wasn't what I would call a go-home SummerSlam show. It didn't make me so enamored with SummerSlam that I couldn't wait to see it. And I don't think I felt alone. I saw some folks after the show went off the air. I didn't really say anything because I tried to save it for our broadcast, but that's sort of how I felt. It was okay. It was decent. It wasn't tremendous. And if you didn't know it was on Sci-Fi, you missed it. They did like a 1.4 million viewership on this against the Olympics, which is pretty big.
Well, on Sci-Fi.
Yeah.
You got to figure on Sci-Fi, usually people don't tune in when it's not on USA, or the DVRs are, there's a fluke with the DVR, it's only set to record on USA, that sort of thing. The show was very mid-card, like I said, while we were having that show just for you and me and the dogs. And the dogs said, Rut-row, Bottles, nothing like the show. But it's the opening exchange with McIntyre and Rollins, and Punk was just, it just went nowhere. Rollins just reiterated the fact that he's the authority for this match on Saturday as the referee. He's the guy calling the shots, not those 2 guys. Blah, 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 blah. And he doesn't like either one of them. Then you saw the Wyatt 6 unmask at the ring.
Yes, we did see that.
Yes. What do you feel about that? How does that take away from their mystique, or did they look good? Did they look like homeless people? All they needed was a flaming oil drum around them.
I did not recognize the blonde guy at all. What's his name? He was the one that got tagged up with Miz in that bullshit a year ago that almost killed his career.
That was Dexter Lumis.
I did not recognize Dexter Lumis at all. You talk about a guy that came back with a makeover that was just amazing. That entire look that guy had just blew me away. I thought what they did in the ring, it felt good. It felt like they're part of the wrestling show now, not just a bunch of creepy guys running around backstage. They felt like wrestlers. They felt relatable. I felt like they squashed the wrestlers like they should. They got over like they should. They didn't let them get any offense in. It was, we're here to kick your ass. That's the bottom line. By the way, I am Don Wayne. He is Johnny Bottles. Thank you all for putting up with all the technical difficulties. Hit the notifications button, like and subscribe if you have not. We appreciate everybody here tonight.
Yes.
If you've got something you want to contribute to the super chats are open. But that's how I felt about everything that they did with that segment. It got over with me. We've been waiting on it, right?
Right. I'm waiting for a full match. Are we getting a full match at SummerSlam, Don? Do you see that pre-show? Or, I mean, how could you not have Chad Gable and the Creeds not on SummerSlam?
Apparently they're not. They have announced the 7 matches, and I've seen nothing else get added even after Raw.
Well, I mean, they've got a 3-hour pre-show, and they haven't added any
kind of undercard curtain jerker.
I'm trying to remember their names. Kaylee Ray, or what, Alba Fire, as she's going by now. Isla Dawn versus Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair, as you call the Stallions.
I think they're saving that for the German show.
I don't know. It might be for. I mean, they built up to it pretty quick.
Well, that's what I mean. That's usually the way Triple H has been booking. It's been a slow burn. He does nothing knee-jerk reaction. He's not going to put it on the card just to put it on the card. He's going to put it on there to make sure it's a draw when he does it, that it's got a storyline leading up to it, that there feels like there's a real animosity.
Gotcha.
I enjoyed everything about the Wyatt 6. We said it last week. Something else has got to change. They've got to do something in the ring. They can't just be the spooky people walking around the fog like a bad, old
like a bad
80s
horror movie, like a Rob Zombie horror. It's, you know what it's like? It's like Rob Zombie writing and directing a wrestling show. That's what the segments are like.
It's not that bad.
You're not a Rob Zombie fan?
I did not like his movies myself.
House of 1,000 Corpses.
Yeah, House of 1,000 Boars. I'm done with that. I did also notice in this, though, the Liv Morgan segment, right? We've been hyping Liv Morgan. She cut a killer promo in this show. I got to give her credit. This is the best work of her career by far. She's been the scorn lover now. She was a psychopath lover. I love what she did in the show. It's just, guys, maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm burnt. Yeah, but maybe I'm burned out on wrestling. I don't know. The Liv Morgan, the Seth Rollins part, I enjoyed, Bronson Reed and Sheamus. They had a match. I enjoyed that a little bit. It was a good old-fashioned match. There was nothing embarrassing about it. You know what I mean?
Like, it was a match.
Yeah.
I said when I watched that show, when I watched that match, I said to myself, I got to ask him, what's his take on this? Where do you see Sheamus going forward in this company?
I think he's going to be in a lot of mid-card feuds to try to elevate some of the underneath guys. That's sort of where he's being positioned right now. And it sort of fits. I mean, he's an older guy. He shouldn't be used regularly. I think maybe he shows up for a big match and he disappears for a month or two. Then he shows back up and he has another big match with another up-and-coming star and he disappears for a week or two. That's sort of how I see him developing right now as far as where he's positioned in the company. And it's a good spot. He's making a good living. He can't really complain about the dollars he's getting for what he's doing. Again, we apologize for the technical difficulties earlier. The Olympics are hosing everybody up.
StreamYard is the platform that we put this little podcast out on, and it's used by more people than what you think. I would have to say 90% of the people that you see, that's a little bit of a stretch. 80% of the people that you see doing podcasts on YouTube are using StreamYard, and their servers sometimes take a strain. We show that even though you're all in the chat room, we show that there was nobody there.
Yeah, so
it was very bizarre. And that's why we had to delete that show and come back and do this one. But we're back. We've got 52 people right now. We've got, I tell you, as long as we've got Block, Larry, Beerman, Denisha, Humble, and Scud, and Challenger,
John,
and Chris Stikelether, and who else I see? Sammy Sosa, and
we got the usual cast of crew's back. Humble's here. We got the crew's back. Yes.
We're just rolling. As long as we got you guys, we're rolling. We're good to go. Don, what did you think of the Carter, Chance, and Valkyria match where Katana Chance broke her nose? Zoe Stark has hurt another employee of the World Wrestling Entertainment.
It looked stiff when she did it. It is what it is. I'm not going to go down that alley. I mean, shit happens. This ain't ballet.
Dude, you know, Zoe Stark again, dude.
But here's the thing, though, man, right? Like, she was getting so much shit because she was laying off of all of her punches and kicks. She was whiffing completely because she was getting shit on by people. I don't know if it was inside the company or just outside. Well, she was like, all right,
we shit on her.
I'm going to lay my shit in now. If it hits you, it hits you. That's what's going to happen. It is what it is, man. I mean, look, you can't have it both ways, right? You can't have it both ways.
You got a point there. You know, I'm thinking, we were talking about the Creed brothers and Gable versus the Wyatts. I don't understand why you wouldn't go with a surefire feud of Otis and Chad Gable. People want to see that match. They want to see those two go at it. And Otis finally get a win over Gable.
Again, just hear me out. This is the slow booking prospect of this. It feels like they are going to have their moment at maybe the Rumble or maybe the Survivor Series, where it's the old school Survivor Series. We might see a couple of old school Survivor Series matches. Maybe not where it's 4-on-4, but maybe where it's 3-on-3 or something of that effect. This is a slow burn. They're not just going to give it to us. We know the history right there, right now. Anybody that's watching the show consistently knows there's a big history there. Unlike the other show that sort of tried to drop one on us this week, but we're going to get to that in a minute. But it feels like it's a slow build. They don't have to get to this. Everybody knows at the moment Otis gets his hands on Chad Gable, the place is going to erupt because he's gotten them a couple times, but nothing crazy. They haven't had a match yet. I feel like that's coming. Maybe you have the Survivor Series match. You get to the Rumble. Maybe Otis gets eliminated by Chad Gable and he finally snaps. And he comes back in the ring and he eliminates Otis like they used to have in those old school heat matches, right? The heel would get eliminated, blow his lid, come back in and eliminate the face.
Well, let me ask you this question. When they finally have that match, what's the ceiling for Otis? He gets great reactions. He's a powerhouse.
Look, man.
He can go.
Okay.
He can go.
He's not a champion. He's not a champion. He's not a. If he was to be taken as a serious wrestler, he has to change his entire gimmick, right? Otis is the good time guy in the ring that you can get behind and cheer and laugh and enjoy him because he can wrestle and he can move for a big guy, and you can have a beer and just have a good time watching what he does in the ring. You don't have to take him for, say, a Cody Rhodes or Roman Reigns. You're not going to take him at that serious level. Not now the way he's being presented, but he's an entertaining wrestler, and I like seeing him on Mondays right now. I'm looking forward to SummerSlam, but like I said, this just didn't do it for me. The other big thing out of this was Sami Zayn defeating Dominic Mysterio via disqualification because, once again, we had outside interference. So it's just going to keep happening over and over again. You knew that was coming. JD McDonough and Carlito attacked Zayn. They kept attacking him, and then Braun Breaker tried to get involved, and he got stifled. So the Braun Breaker edition. Braun Breaker right now is probably my favorite wrestler in this company. I really think Braun is the guy.
With Braun being stifled by Sami Zayn on this show, and the way wrestling booking usually works. Now, this is a whole new booking team, basically. Does that mean that Braun will be winning the Intercontinental Championship?
I think he's gonna. I think he almost has to after losing last time. And we're going to get to the SummerSlam card here at the end of the show, so I don't want to give too much away.
Sure.
But I feel like he has to, so I just want to get through that. Gunther defeated Finn Balor.
I felt ambivalent towards this. It was neither good nor bad. It wasn't even a good Gunther match. I didn't like it.
But it wasn't embarrassing.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't.
And that's sometimes in the wrestling world, and I'm just going to say this. Sometimes in the wrestling world, that's the best compliment you can give a show, is that it didn't embarrass you as a fan. It didn't make you cringe. It didn't make you sit there and go, if somebody else came across this and I told them I'm a wrestling fan and they saw this, would I be embarrassed out of my mind because I told them I watched this shit? No, that sometimes is the best compliment you can get. And they didn't embarrass me. Like I said, Raw, it didn't feel like a SummerSlam go home Raw to me. They have built up SummerSlam so well to this point. This wasn't the show I was expecting. Tomorrow night, I'm expecting something huge from SmackDown because this wasn't the go home show that I expected from WWE personally. Some people might have really liked it. It did 1.4 million viewers, like we said, on Sci-Fi. That's a pretty big deal. They did well.
It seemed like they weren't two guys, Gunther and Finn Balor, pretending that they were pretending to be wrestlers.
Right. Good observation that may be used on a later headline. I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. We're going to get to AEW right now. And I know everybody's dying for them numbers to come out. And they're out now. But we're going to get there. We're going to get there.
Hang on. Quarter hours?
No. You got them?
No. I was hoping they were coming out. Before the show, I was like searching frantically for quarter hours. But
I just want to thank everybody for watching. I want to thank you for your participation. I also want to give a very special shout out to our main man here on the screen, Johnny Bottles, who celebrated a birthday on Monday. Just want to take the time right now to say, Johnny Bottles, happy birthday. Appreciate you still putting in the hard work for us, brother. I hope you have another 365 days under your belt when it's all said and done.
Thank you, pal. In other words, you hope I live another year.
Yes, I do.
Yes.
It would be nice, right? It would be nice.
It would be nice. Would be nice.
The AEW show that we had last night. What was the number on that? Was it 605, 609? What was it?
I believe it was 609, Don.
609,000 people.
0.18 in the demo. Meltzer's already saying,
I saw
against the Olympics last night. Don't have NBC numbers for the Olympics yet.
I don't recall him mentioning the Olympics, though, when he came out with Raw's numbers. It's just kind of weird how that works, right? And it was 605,000, I believe, is what they officially said. It's 605, just like the Superstation. Appreciate that. Thank you. Again,
they did 1 point.
Raw. We appreciate you. Huh?
Super chats are open. Give us a ring-a-ling on the ding-a-ling down below. Take your cursor, your finger, put your finger on the ding-a-ling and tap it so you know when we're going to have surprise shows. There's going to be another one coming up this weekend. Woo, that's a surprise. What, Sunday, Don, or Saturday after SummerSlam?
Well, we're hoping that this audio gets fixed because you're breaking up real bad right now again. It's not his fault. It's not our fault. There's something going on with the servers tonight. We're just trying to get through this the best that we can. We're going to get through it, and I love you for it. We're probably going to do SummerSlam Sunday, though. I think that's how it's going to come to. I think Sunday we're going to do SummerSlam and do the whole recap on where we went wrong and where we went right and leading off to the next week. Just like this week, AEW on the 609,000 rating. The Big Bang Theory leads off again. And today we've got Penny saying she should take off her clothes in front of the nerds who all rejoiced, but it never happened. That shit never happened, as Stone Cold once said at ECW. Once again, this just goes to prove everybody's right when they say it. AEW uses this Big Bang lead in, and it's not just like it's a 10 or 20 second clip. I'm going to my actual DVR now to test this. I'm starting to watch it on my DVR, not live, and it's doing it every time. I'm getting Big Bang every time this thing leads off. Have you tested on your DVR yet? Are you getting the same results, or are you watching it live, Johnny Bottles?
I'm on my DVR. I get 3 minutes of the Big Bang Theory every week.
You're getting 3
every
minutes.
week.
I think I'm getting 2, but I'm not sure 100%.
Well, it could be 2, 3, whatever. It's a substantial amount where you can see the ending of the show and then the credits of the show. So that's what I've got. And the quarter hours, I mean, not the quarter hours, the overruns for AEW Dynamite, they vary. Sometimes I get the overruns. Like last night when I watched the show, it cut off.
So did mine. I had to go. I went live because I knew it was going to cut off. Because again, it wasn't a planned overrun. And this is how you know you're dealing with amateur hour. And this whole show started. This entire idea, this germ of an idea that we had for the show happened because one Tony Khan had a picture taken of him meeting with a one Shane McMahon allegedly this Monday at an airport of Arlington. I never saw if it was Arlington, Texas, Arlington, Virginia. I didn't see any of those details in the actual picture. It was just a picture that Mercedes Monet took credit for and said that, you know, she took the picture. They were there. It was sort of a teaser to try to get a nut. And we talked about this last week, right? The last 2 shows on AEW Dynamite have been huge push shows. They have been hot-shotted. That's the term I've heard. When you push all your chips to the table and you put on a big spectacle And the problem that you get when you hot shot a show is the next week, if you're still not hot shotting shit, it's going to cool off. And this cooled off to the tune of 100 and almost 80,000 people said, I don't think I need to watch this week. I saw what I wanted to see the last 2 weeks. They tried to use Shane McMahon, of all people, a 50-something-year-old guy, as the tune-in point for AEW this week, and it backfired as hard as I've ever seen anything backfire. And don't give me the Olympics. The Olympics ratings they're not going to take away from diehard AEW fans. They're just not. They're going to watch no matter what. The truth is the show wasn't good.
It wasn't good. If you look at the measurement of what Raw usually does on a Monday night without the Olympics, 1.6, 1.7. So you figure the Olympics only took away 250,000 from Raw, $250,000, if you look at it that way. And that was on Sci-Fi. So people, Raw and SmackDown, even NXT, are appointment viewing for people now because they're making notes of it. Hey, they're going to be on Sci-Fi this week. I'm going to watch it on Sci-Fi. I'll reset the DVR and I'll put it in there on Sci-Fi. So people are actually paying attention when they're going to change networks and channels, things like that, things of that nature. Just try to get into WrestleNomics for the quarter hours.
Well, they say they're out now, so
they're out.
That's
they are out.
The Twitter machine might out. So I'm not done yet, though, on the whole Mercedes Monet details, because there's even more details coming out of Mercedes Monet. Apparently she's filed for divorce from her husband. So
she has filed for divorce, yes.
That was made public. I'm not going to wish any ill will on anybody personally. I feel bad when something like this happens. It's not good. Divorces are hard for everybody involved. So while I may not be she may not be my favorite wrestler, I hope she's going to get through this all right. I'm not going to speculate on what I've heard on who she's dating. Please don't do that. Come on, guy. We're better than that. We're better than this.
Come on now. What?
We're better than this. We're better than this, Johnny.
She filed for divorce from Mikaze, who is a seamstress for the WWE. He makes all her ring gear. And I think she was 18 and he was 27 when they got married.
So he might have had a little bit more in life than she had at that point, is what you're implying. Maybe he was a little further ahead in life.
A little further ahead in life. There's a lot of rumors floating around. What's going on there? A lot of rumors.
She's dating.
Yes. She's dating a man who has a.
We don't know. Allegedly,
she's dated a man who's flush with cash.
No, she is not. That is false. She is not dating a man that's flush with cash. That is an incorrect statement.
What have you heard?
I have heard that she is dating a man whose father's flush with cash.
Semantics, my friend. Semantics.
It's a big damn deal. One of the people in this relationship is not a billionaire, and neither is the other one. That's all I'm saying. It's ain't the billionaires club, but that's the rumor. She also, like I said, bragged about taking the picture with Tony Khan and Shane McMahon. So that was, I just want to get that little piece of business. Do what?
She did brag about that. So you can draw your own conclusions as to who she's allegedly dating.
You can draw your own conclusions that she's dating Tony Khan. I'm not saying that she is. I'm just saying the speculation is wildly afoot right now. Because that's not the only relationship crutch that we had going on in this company. We'll talk about that when we get to that wrestler, because this wrestler comes out later. How about that?
Go right ahead, pal. You go ahead and do it.
Well, maybe she does. Maybe she doesn't. I don't remember. Anyway, we come back.
Lead the way, Don. Lead the way through this.
They come to the building. I don't know. I can't remember what building they're in, but here's what I looked up. They had 2,931 tickets distributed before this thing kicked off. That's not good. This building holds like 15,000 people.
It's like that for every show they do.
I hear you, but eventually, we've been saying it forever. The crowd would sound so much better in a smaller venue that had maybe a max capacity of 5,000 or 6,000 people. It would sound better. The optics and the decibels would be so much better. This looks like child play with wrestlers with a son of a billionaire's money thrown it around. It looked horrible. The building's dark as shit. You can't see anybody past the first 5 rows. It looks like Dracula's dream match is what it looks like. MJF came out. He had the American title. And he begins picking on South Carolina. And I like MJF, but this sort of feels like, I don't know, a tired trait that he's gotten out at this point in time. He seems to do it an awful lot where he comes out and picks at the crowd. Do you know what I'm saying here? Like, I love MJF. He's my favorite wrestler of the company, but it just feels like he's doing this now every time he comes out. He's not really
throwing his gum at the fans, all that bullshit. Supposedly he changed the name of the international title to the American title so he can get heat for the match in Wembley. I don't think they care, to tell you the truth. Nobody cares about that. It's just, it's coming to the point right now when he comes out, no one cares.
I still think they care. I just don't know that this match with Ocean Spray that they're building up right now. It's just one of those deals where I can't get behind it, man. I just can't. It doesn't have the hype behind it that makes me really want to tune into this thing.
No, not at all. Because people want to cheer MJF. People want to cheer MJF. People want to cheer Ospreay. No matter what MJF says or does, he's the cool heel that everyone loves. And he can shit on the crowd all he wants to, but it is what it is. So.
You're right. They did cheer him last night, too. Like, they got the USA chants going last night with the Englishman in the ring. Like, that's not a good dynamic to have right now.
No, but they cheered Ospreay, too. So I don't know what's going on there. It's faulty booking, pal. That's all I can say.
Well, Ocean Spray comes running out and MJF bails out of the ring. And like I said, I just want to take some high notes on this thing. Ocean Spray got out 3 or 4 bruvs in one sentence. He said bruv in 3 or 4 times in the first sentence that he said in the ring. I was just like, all right, what the hell? And then he fell all over himself with a line in this thing. I had to rewind it and catch this thing because it caught me off guard. He said, not a single person refused to acknowledge that belt. I'm going to run that by again. Not a single person refused to acknowledge that belt. I said, are we getting upset over what the title's called now? Is that what this feud is about? I'm so confused.
They're trying to get heat with the name change. And no one cares. No one cares about any of this. They don't.
I just wrote, WTF is going on here. I have no idea why they're getting involved over what the hell the name of the title is. Like, it didn't matter. The international title meant shit. It meant nothing. It meant less than nothing.
Right. When everyone has a belt, and you're in a company where everyone has a belt, the belts don't mean anything.
Well, this segment came to an end when MJF announced everybody dies, and the guy from Gas Monkey Garage came out to have a match. I didn't know what the hell was going on right here. I just thought the local mechanic was coming out from South Carolina to have a match in the ring. And then they're like, oh, it's Murder Hawk. And I just thought to myself, where the hell's this guy been for the past, I don't know, year? I haven't seen this guy in forever. Big dude. Looks the part.
Rampage.
Okay.
Rampage and Collision.
Where's he been?
The B and C shows. That's where he's been.
As soon as I saw him, I said, that's the guy from Gas Monkey Garage, isn't it? No, that's a real wrestler.
You could take that guy and plug him right into SmackDown or Raw, and he would be in a upper mid-card program with somebody right away, right from the get-go.
You're right.
I can see him and Drew McIntyre going at it.
He's got the look. He's got the look. He's got the look. I'm bringing that song back one note at a time. One bad note at a time, might I add. Thank you all for watching. Thanks for putting up with the bullshit today. Please like and subscribe. Hit the notifications button. The super chat's open. If you saw something when the Gas Monkey Garage mechanic came out to have a match, because this thing went out right away. It went out of the ring right away. And here comes
you see something, say something. Excellent job, Johnny B. and Don Wayne. SCM rules from the High Poobah, the Grand Poobah, the High Mojo. I think I mixed up my names, my superlatives. Motorhead 711 with $5. Thank you, Motorhead.
Appreciate it very much. Thank you so much. This match went outside of the ring for a long time. And I'm sitting here watching, and I said, the ref's not doing anything. And then out of nowhere, you hear a count. 3. They've been outside of the ring for a good solid 2 minutes, and now he's going to start counting. There is just no rhyme or reason to why they do shit in this company, in my opinion, when it comes to some of these wrestling matches. There's just not.
It's always like that, Don. Always like that.
Yeah, but it gets frustrating after a while, man. As a fan, I get frustrated watching it. Like, are we going to do anything about this? Are we going to have any kind of a rule? Because if not, we're going back to ECW days, and we saw how that ended. That didn't exactly end on a high note when there's no rules.
Not at all. Was this the bald ref, Remsburg, or the they got 2 bald refs. Bryce Remsburg, the Young Bucks' best friend, and the other guy's a little older.
There was a new ref last night that I noticed that I want to talk about later. And that 6-man cluster flop.
Was he Japanese?
No, he was not.
Okay.
He definitely was not. This thing kept going. They did a bunch of moves. Ocean Spray wins with his amazing
hidden
elbow
blade
to the back of your head, the hidden blade. That's just the most amazing thing that's ever been made. I've never seen anything like it. It's so much better than the Tombstone and the Superfly Splash or anything else. He won with that against a guy twice his size. You knew he was going to. And then MJF comes out and he begins kicking the shit out of him. And we get another unexpected. Why is this guy getting involved now? He's getting the Garcia treatment. Out came Kyle Fletcher. And I wrote, why is this dude wearing khaki or slacks, a midriff, and slip-on church shoes? Who goes to the ring looking like this? He looks like a 80s cokehead. It was just out of control. You know what I'm talking about because you've seen those guys roaming the streets in Miami. Hey,
the streets of Miami.
Hey, man. Literally had a midriff on, slacks, and church shoes. That's the best way I can describe it. And he's out there with Don Callis screaming at MJF, who, by the way, Ocean Spray is no longer in this group.
You see that guy just walked into McDonald's? Yeah, he looked like an 80s cokehead. Jesus Christ. We see him on the streets of Miami, Don. They're just wandering around down here.
I was completely flabbergasted by all this. Apparently, next week we're going to get a match with MJF and Kyle Fletcher. So I can't wait to watch that.
God bless Kyle Fletcher. He's the man of the year so far. And you know why.
Well, she beat him in a wrestling match, apparently, so I'm not getting into that. We then get to Swerve.
Whoa.
We talked
Sky
about
Blue
this. We had
wrestled.
This on several shows ago. I brought this up.
But was that girl Sky Blue?
Yes.
I did not know that was Sky Blue.
Yes. We brought that up several shows ago.
Was that wrestling ring in their living room? That's all I want to know.
I don't think it was apartment wrestling, but it wasn't a high school gym, I think. Maybe a middle school gym. Anyway, we're getting off topic. So our segment had a segment that they played. Not really a segment, but a recap. I thought it was pretty good. I didn't hate it. I thought it did a good job of getting his story over. What did you think? Back to me. I thought it was
back to you. I know I'm blocked by the chat. I was distracted by the chat. But yes, I thought that it was good for what it was. That's all I can say. I mean, just the little nuggets of the little gems on this show, and they're few and far between, are just good for what they were. They're not exemplary or anything like that. So, what more can you say?
I don't know that I saw anything last night that made me go, I can't wait to come back and watch this again. I really didn't.
No.
And the numbers show it.
Nothing.
Like we said, you have hot-shotted this the last 2 weeks, and this week you had nothing to give us as fans to really carry that. And by the way, I didn't care for the blood and guts when it was with the Bucks last week. That wasn't my cup of tea. The chair shot wasn't my cup of tea. Having 4,000 things in the ring when the ring is the actual weapon isn't my cup of tea.
Do you think, Don, when people tuned into this show after the Big Bang Theory, if Shane McMahon didn't walk out right at the beginning of the show, they said, all right, I'm out. I'm done. See you later.
Well, we're going to see the quarter hours when this is all said and done. I want to talk about those.
I'm still looking for quarter hours.
All right. Well, don't go breaking your fingertips, pal. Don't go breaking my heart.
Breaking my fingertips.
All right, back to me. Oh, there he is.
Johnny Fingertips, everybody. Isn't he marvelous? Johnny Fingertips.
Oh, and then we get the Jericho recap. We cut to the back, and we have a 102-day-old cake for one Chris Jericho. And I wrote down in my notes, this is 102 decibels of bad. I don't want to watch this. The Buckethead guy, as you've called him, sucks. Low Plains Drifter is apparently going to have a match next week or on Saturday. I don't know what the hell happened. I was just glad they were off my television in a relatively short amount of time.
Nobody wants to see this. No one wants to see this shit. It's horrible. It's horrible. The guy with the 5-gallon pickle jar head. You told me not to call him Officer Barb Brady, so
yes,
I
please
won't.
don't.
Alex Marvez was a dirt sheet writer, and he was friends with the Young Bucks. He wrote a few articles, well, many articles for Wrestling Observer. He was a contributor to that back in the 80s and the early 90s, and he was one of the Young Bucks' favorite guys, and that's why he's got this job. He brings nothing to the table. You've got all those attractive women they hired as interviewers, yet they put this guy on your TV screen. I just don't understand. He likes cake, though.
He likes cake. And nobody ate the cake, which is what really pissed me off in the end, to be honest. Somebody's got to get the pie or the cake in the face when it's all said and done. That's just old hat. Come on. You know better than
pie or cake, Don. Pie or cake.
Either way, it's got to go in the face.
I'll talk about you. What's your favorite, pie or cake?
Ice cream cake.
Baskin and Robbins sheet cake, dude. Fantastic stuff. Fantastic stuff.
Statlander came out next with Hathorne saying every night is Saturday night. I need someone to explain this to me because I still don't understand that. Why is every night Saturday night? I'm so very confused with when he says that. I don't get it. He's been saying it forever. I am so lost when he says that.
Sure. That's a retirement slogan, Don. I say that every night. Every night is Saturday night.
You a dirty lie. Anyway, she's having a match with Willow Nightingale, who came out.
Good match. I thought it was a good match.
Who came out.
It wasn't that bad, Don.
It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't like I was on the edge of my seat going, what's going to happen next?
No one pissed in the ring, Don. That's the main thing.
No one did piss in the ring. But Willow came out wearing the MLLNOP belt. This belt that she has from wherever it came from, it looks like when you were a kid and you would cut the box tops off of cereals and you would mail it in for a prize. That's what she has, is the Sugar Bombs Pop-Tarts Award for wrestling. That's what it has. I'm going to call this thing the Kellogg's Championship because that's what it looks like to me.
Sure. On the back of the box, you cut it out with a pair of scissors.
You just cut out the box.
A rubber band. You put it around your waist. Of course.
That's what you used to do, kids, if you didn't know. You could actually cut the box tops off of cereals, mail them in, and get a special prize or gift sent to your house when they had these big giveaways. That's how they got kids to scream at their moms, I want some Rice Krispies for like the next 6 weeks. I gotta get that shitty 30-cent toy. That's how it was. Anyway, this thing went on. There was one thing that happened in this match that caught my eye that scared the shit out of me. When Statlander got dropped, she did the side drop Willow did to her on the ring apron, and Willow went to her knees to the floor, or not to her knees, but she jumped straight down. I'm not saying anything bad. Please don't be like, oh, you're fat shaming. Stop it. No one's doing that. She's a big girl, and that's a hell of a long way to just jump straight down when you're carrying that much weight on your knees. I'm sorry, but it is. You didn't see the Big Show doing shit like that for a reason. He would step down when he was doing it.
Statlander, she performed a Death Valley driver in Statlander, or was a pile driver?
No, it was that where you drop her sideways. She got her on her shoulders, and she drops her sideways, and she lands on her back on the apron. Do you remember seeing it now?
That's like a modified Death Valley driver on the apron, which would be a finishing move in any other organization. That would put you out. And
no, because that came later. The killer move came later. This wasn't even that.
she rolled off the apron and landed with her back outside the ring. And then Willow had a little piece of business with Stokely. And you hate the guy so much. Why wouldn't you smack that little bastard?
I don't know.
Why wouldn't you? But that should be something that would happen at the end of the feud. You slap him across the face or give him a power bomb, and then you get over on Statlander and you win the feud. You win the match. You're done. That would be a pay-per-view match. You don't put your hands on Hathaway right away. I'm saying she's got all this time right now. Statlander must be out on Dream Street or something, laying on the ground. But she got back up after a Death Valley driver on the ring apron, and they fought, and they went back into the ring and did all this other hoopla and business, and I don't know.
I hear what you're saying. What should have happened is he should have taken off running instead of just letting her get his hands on him. So
of course.
By the time he got back to Statlander, it could have been she recovered, and here she comes. She runs right into a sucker punch. But sure. Yeah, I see what you're saying. You don't get your hands on the guy that you hate before it's time. That's the big blow off. That's the big blow off since the beginning of time. The shit heel manager doesn't get his comeuppance until the blow off. So that happened. They got back in the ring, like you said. Statlander did a 450 splash, and she kicked out at 2. This is that bullshit that I hate about AEW. A woman did a 450 splash on another woman, and this match kept going. And I don't understand why it kept going. What I had, there's nothing else you could do. And I said, okay, what's she going to do next? Oh, here's what she's going to do next. She hit her with a chain and got the 3 count. Then she wanted to keep beating her up, and here come the men. Now Statlander's throwing out men. By the way, some of those guys she was manhandling were good-sized wrestlers, you could tell. They weren't little children. They were good-sized guys. So that sort of gave me heartburn, like whatever, but there's a line you got to draw, like, okay. When larger guys get involved in a women's match, it's sort of got to go away. Neither one of these girls is confusing anybody for Rhea Ripley or Jade or Bianca.
AEW is a wrestling promotion from an alternate universe where regular wrestling rules and physics don't apply. They don't apply. Whatever you remember from professional wrestling growing up and from the 2000s even, those rules do not apply to AEW.
I dislike this finish so much that I had to go outside and let the dogs out and just pause it for a minute because it was just so ungodly awful. Did you survey the backyard while the dogs are pissing and you said to yourself, what happened to the sport I love? I really thought to myself, God, I hope that dog doesn't shit over there in my grass again. Just like they had in that ring. They just shit in my ring. These dogs are going to shit on my grass. Awful. Just awful. Sorry to keep dwelling on it. It pissed me off. That's all I'm going to say about it.
The chat just popped me.
I saw. There's something wrong with you. Thank you all for watching. Please like and subscribe.
I got to close the chat window right now.
Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. If you've got something for the super chats, we are open. Hit the notifications button, also known as the ring-a-ling on the ding-a-ling, because Bryan Danielson is about to bore the shit out of me, is what happened next. I don't know if it's just me. I've never been the biggest Bryan Danielson fan. I wasn't when he was in the Yes Movement. I wasn't a big fan then. I wasn't a big fan of the WWE. I wasn't a big fan then. I'm not a big fan now. I know he's got some fans. I'm just not one of them. To me, he's at his best when he's a heel, when he was with like Kane, when he had a heater, because he's not an overly big guy. When he's got somebody to do his dirty work, I think that's when he's at his absolute best. To me, personally, as a heel, he comes off better because he's a smaller guy and he talks all this shit with a heater.
As a baby face, underneath, fighting from underneath, when he's healthy, when he's in good shape, there was nothing like him in WWE. He was fantastic. The odds are against him. He's gonna do what he can. The scrappy little underdog, and he was a world heavyweight champ for a brief run there. But here, face heel. What is he? We don't know. Now we've got this going on, and Jeff Jarrett's involved in his little clique,
which they did recap that. from last week.
What's going to happen with that? Why is Bryan Danielson?
We're going to get to that. We're going to get to that. I've definitely got something to ask you about that. I've got something written down. I'm going to ask you when that shit happened. Because it was
Swerve and
ridiculous.
Swerve and Bryan. I've got no desire to see the match. I could care less. If he's done after this year, what difference does it make? I can't get invested in this. If he's gonna, if he's fighting a super heel and he's getting his ass kicked every week and he comes out on top in Wembley, it would be fantastic. I'd love to see it. But Swerve's a face, so who becomes a tweener in this, or a full bore heel? I don't know.
Well,
what's your take?
That's what I'm going to get to in just a minute.
Okay.
Let me crawl before I can run. The thank you Daniel Bryan chant start. He promised he'd stop wrestling at the end of his contract. He reveals that his contract is up today, or something like that. It was up last month. Either way, his contract is supposed to be up. So now he's leading us to believe that he's wrestling for free. He's not wrestling for free, folks. I don't know what his contract terms are, but I will guarantee you he's not going into this show wrestling for free. I owe you one, Tony. I got you here.
He's not going anywhere. He's going to work part-time. He already said he's going to work part-time after this contract.
Yes,
so he's probably negotiating
full-time. This would be his last full-time contract.
So he's probably negotiating right now a part-time contract with Tony.
Well, he did say that if he did not win this match, he would never wrestle again. So he put the stipulation out there that this was going to be it. So Swerve said he likes him, blah, 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 which I did take note of Swerve when he came out there, right? Swerve usually has a very fly look about him. Swerve usually is very in touch with what's modern, unlike the English blokes that come out looking like 80s cokeheads. He always comes out looking the part. I've got to ask my man Swerve Strickland. Did you not watch Shawn Michaels on his comeback trail when he came back after all them absent times? Brown looks like doo-doo in the ring, and he had on brown pants last night. And I just thought to myself, did Shawn Michaels teach you guys nothing about brown pants and the little Holland Dutch cut? Those are two things that I never want to see in a wrestling ring again. It was atrocious. The pants were death. Death in the ring is what I wrote down. That's awful. That's the end of that. Bryan comes backstage. Jeff Jarrett is there and says, that's what I'm talking about. That's what going all in is. And then that's when Bryan suddenly snaps. Is Bryan the heel all of a sudden after that promo he just did in the ring? Is Daniel Bryan supposedly the bad guy now? Is he going to be
bipolar, Don? He could be bipolar.
This is that back and forth nonsensical booking that I don't understand. Why is he suddenly pissed off at Jeff Jarrett demanding a match? He just said in the ring he's not going to wrestle full time if he loses or anymore. He's not going to wrestle anymore if he loses. Why is he suddenly pissed at Jeff Jarrett? This made no sense to me in any way. I don't know if it was just me. I don't get it.
I don't get it. Jeff Jarrett was nothing but nice to Bryan the last 3 or 4 weeks. Give him a pep talk, things like that. I'm sorry I didn't win the Owen Hart Cup, but you could do this, blah, 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 blah. And Bryan just shit all over him. I think he's going to get a guitar over his head at Wembley Stadium.
You think so, huh?
I think he's going to get he's going to get a nice Fender acoustic wrapped around his neck at Wembley Stadium.
The magic windows are kicking in as the sun dies.
Yes, they are.
In the west.
Sherry, hit the switch. Hit the switch, honey.
She's out there doing some shit. I don't know. Thanks again for tuning in. Appreciate all y'all support. Like and subscribe. We're at 915 subs. The push to 1,000 is real. Tell your friends, tell your moms, tell your sister, tell your brother. We are trying to get to 1,000 subs by the end of this summer. I think it's doable. September 22nd. We've got a month and a half, essentially. We also had another match on this card. And yes. I wrote down that this is we ain't selling shit match. Because this was horrific from the time the bell rang. Dude, 3-on-3.
Horrible.
Strong, Roosh, and a Billy Goat came out to fight Briscoe, OC, and an old Japanese guy. That's what I wrote down.
Tomohiro Ishii.
Yeah.
Ishii.
And I've never seen the Billy Goat before. This was new to me.
Mortis.
I hope I never see this jackass again.
Every move he did, Tony Schiavone would say, for a man of his size, this is incredible. He's the shortest guy in the ring. He was the smallest guy in the ring, height-wise. So why was it so incredible? I'm amazed that the man could see what he was doing with the effing mask on his face. It looked ridiculous. And Tomohiro Ishii, the old bald guy with the stiff neck, and he's got this spinal arthritis or whatever's wrong with him. He could hardly effing move in the ring. It was a shit show. This was a hot pocket time and a time to drain the bladder, if there ever was one. So I got another beer.
Let me tell you what you missed. Let me tell you what you
missed. Hit a hot pocket. Oh, I rewound it and watched it.
Why would you do that?
Because I'm a masochist.
What did you possibly think you were missing in this beef booger of a match?
I heard Tony Schiavone say, for a man of his size, he's incredible.
He said it at least 5 times.
He did. About Mortos. Not even a homegrown AEW talent. Fucking Mortos. A CMLL talent, I guess. I don't know where. He's from one of those Mexican promotions. I don't know. I'm not stereotyping. He looked ridiculous. He was the shortest guy in the ring. And he's Orange Cassidy. He's got his jacket off or his T-shirt off.
No, I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet. Believe you me, we're going to talk about that dumb shit. Because I've got what happened here. Ishii and the Billy Goat no sold shit for a while. Roosh got in versus Ishii. The level of suck is intensifying. They no sold shit for a while. Briscoe gets in. Roosh doesn't sell shit to Briscoe. Then we have the jacket segment that you can't wait to talk about.
I thought for sure that Orange Cassidy was going to get the Hearns, but he didn't. He evaded the Hearns from Mortos.
They had
a bullfighter.
We had this shit going on for 10 minutes. Just guys getting in the ring, getting out of the ring, fighting, no one tagging, nothing. They go to commercial break. They go to commercial back, come back, and suddenly now we're tagging like the shit matters. What the hell was this garbage? I know I'm sounding repetitive, but this is what I hate about this shit. It was god awful.
You're not the only one who hated it. Look at the ratings.
I know. Well, we're going to see those quarter hours here in a minute. The ref is bigger than most of the wrestlers. This was the referee I was talking about. The ref was jacked. Big arms, big barrel chest. Dude clearly works out. He's bigger than 4 out of the 5 wrestlers in the ring at a time. The guy was huge. This was ridiculous. Did you see the Roosh dive where they all just stood there holding hands? And he was late coming on the dive. It was just horrible.
In that company, when they do those dives outside the ring, the guy who's diving just takes his time, plays to the crowd. But Roosh was exceptionally bad with this. Exceptionally. He wrestles like he doesn't want to be there whatsoever. He takes out all his frustrations out on the people that he's beating up in the ring. For real. I believe he's actually laying some potatoes in. Somebody's catching some taters. That's all I can tell you, pal. Somebody's catching some tots, some tater tots from this guy.
This thing sucked. I don't even care who won. Who won? The random people.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't even matter. Then we get the Acclaim promo. They call out the Bucks, yada, yada, yada. This is what I was like, all right, we're fast-forwarding shit now.
This guy from the Acclaim, Max Caster's cut a promo like he's The Rock. What the? I don't even want to see that guy ever again. I don't want to see
I'm the best wrestler in the world. That's what he said. You're looking at the best wrestler in the world.
At the Blue Oyster.
Dickhead. Renee Paquette does an interview with Mariah May in a bra. I'm going to say that again. Renee Paquette does an interview with Mariah May wearing a bra and a see-through shirt. That was a real thing. That actually happened.
That was a real thing. That was a real thing. Said, okay. Renee Paquette's a very good interviewer. She's a good announcer. However, no one wants to see all that. Of course, we're dealing with Cheeto figured neckbeards, just wearing T-shirts, Donald ducking it across their basement floor, going back and forth to the bathroom. They're Donald ducking it, pal. You know what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're talking
about. Yes. They've got the 3x3 plastic tarp from Dollar General laid out on the floor. Going back in to refill the Jergens dispenser.
Ma, don't come down here.
Are you doing that thing again? Are you doing that thing again, Jimmy? Johnny? Dave? I shouldn't have said
Jesus,
Jimmy.
That's you.
Oh.
I think you just outed yourself. They go to Mercedes Monet recap. They go to the Comic-Con. We know she's having a match. That was horrible. Camille comes out with Mercedes. Brittany Jade was her opponent. I've never heard of this girl. I've never seen this girl. Do you think the Jade name was a coincidence that was her last name? I think not. I think that was a little shot there. What do you think?
I don't think so. I think that was a coincidence. That's all. They would have named her. She would have been named like Jade O'Brien or Jade Jackson if they really wanted to stick it to Jade Cargill. They could have called her Jade Carter. Here's Jade Carter. Jade Carter. Ooh. So
okay. This thing ended. Then we get a Mercedes promo. She's going to be facing DMD, right?
Who's suspended right now, according to the Young Bucks.
Oh, she's suspended. I did not catch that because they weren't on the show this week. Thank God. At least we got reprieve from that. Which now I want to talk about this a little bit because there's a little bit of side news going on in the world of professional wrestling. You want to talk about it or you want me to talk about it?
You can talk about it. I'm
Britt Baker and Adam Cole apparently were dating for a very long sorry, for a very long time. Adam Cole put out this weird social media thing that he's moving home to Pennsylvania. He's moving to Pennsylvania. He's not going to be streaming for a while. And he made it very well known he was moving back by himself. So the pity party was real. And that's sort of what got my attention. Like, you could have just put out there on social media, hey, guys, I'm in the middle of something personal right now that I've got to deal with. I won't be streaming for a while. I don't want to get into it. Please don't ask. Or just say, I won't be streaming for a while. Something's come up. I hope to be back in 2 weeks. But he made sure to put in all that information, Johnny. I'm moving by myself. I'm going to Pennsylvania. He made sure to put all that shit in there alone. He put all that in there.
Chugs McMuffin is his screen name. I guess it's some Twitch message board or whatever. It doesn't look like a Twitter post. Chugs McMuffin, because he's Chugs on Twitch, where he streams playing games and talking to fans. And this is what he wants to do with his time. He doesn't want to work out. He doesn't want to get healthy. Doesn't want to do physical therapy. He wants to stream playing video games online. Hey, Chugs Army, just want to take this time to give you all a little bit of an update. Can't explain how much I missed the streams and hanging out with you all. So right there, you would assume, Don, he hasn't been on in a while.
Yeah.
So this move has been much more intense than I had planned. I'm moving by myself from Florida, Pennsylvania. So it's taken much more time than I had planned. I don't think I'm going to be able to stream until next week. Sad face emoji. I promise that the first thing I'm going to do once I'm settled is to get my streaming setup ready to go so we can hop back on stream. But I do think I'll be gone for the rest of the week as I continue to pack and get ready. Thank you all so much for your patience and understanding. Seriously, Chugs Army, I love you dearly, and we'll keep you posted and updated as much as I can. Don't worry about me coming back to wrestling. He didn't say that.
That ship has sailed. That
ship is sailed. He could care less about fulfilling that contract with AEW and rehabbing his injuries, putting on some weight, working out, looking like a professional wrestler, as opposed to a metrosexual Starbucks barista / Twitch streamer. Okay? He let Britt Baker go, so I don't know what's going on there.
I don't know that that's what happened. There are rumors that there were some
other people involved in this.
outside partners with someone involved in the relationship not named Adam Cole Bebe. So I don't know that it's true. I wasn't there. I don't have the videotape. I'm not up in this bitch like Pamela Anderson. What's going on over there? I'm not that guy. So if it went down, it went down.
And keep in mind, after every show, whether it's a TV taping or a live TV shot or a pay-per-view, at the hotel, which he pays for, Tony Khan, everyone's rooms, they have these wild
that's what you heard. This is
every show.
Unprecedented, unproven, merely alleged that they have big parties. None of this is proven.
Oh, it's people have come out and said it. People come out
and say a lot of shit, pal. It doesn't turn to be true.
Well, you know what I mean? I like speculation, conjecture.
I know you.
Rumored that this has been said for years and years and years that the after parties of an AEW show look like the Hero-gasm episode of The Boys.
That's perfect analogy. I'm glad you went there. That's the rumor and innuendo. Cannot put it on the plate and say it definitely happened, but that is the rumor. And if you have not watched The Boys, if you have not seen The Boys, please go out of your way. It's on Amazon Prime. One of the best shows that's come out in the past half decade. It is absolutely not your dad's superhero show. It is the craziest shit I've ever seen. Season 4 sucked. That's my opinion. It didn't pick up till about the last 2 episodes. Enough of that. I'm getting back on task here. So that covers our other outside personal news and sort of the wrestling genre, because I'm not giving this last match a whole lot of time. I wrote down, oh man, it's Adam Page. That's my entire view on this guy.
He's a buzzkill. When you're sitting there at Dynamite and you're just, I made it through all this bullshit. What's going to happen in this last match? Should this got to be a good match? But this is AEW Dynamite. Tony Khan's booking this show. It can't be any good. And sure enough, he didn't let me down when I saw this guy walk out.
Went to shit in a hurry. They're outside the ring for 2 or 3, 4, 5 minutes. Darby Allin does a coffin drop off of the entrance of the stage. They get back to the ring. He gets thrown into some shit. Darby Allin is getting his ass kicked at one point in the match where it looks like there's no way he can get up. And then he gets him with a quick roll up, 1, 2, 3. And Darby Allin wins. And that's my entire coverage of this match. I'm not giving this thing another moment's notice. I didn't want to watch that as it was. What do the quarter hours say about what we had last night? That's the real question.
I'd love to see him. Hunt him down.
Shit, you don't have him either?
No, don't have him at all. Right, well,
that happens. There was one other
out
thing.
Of WrestleNomics. They're out of WrestleNomics. But I haven't I have a trial run of WrestleNomics, and there's not really anything there worth $5 a month. So I stopped that. WrestleNomics is
well, that's fine. Go ahead. There is one other piece of information I want to talk about, and that's the Warner Brothers Discovery deal.
Yes, reported by Fightful. Go ahead. There's some weight.
This has been reported 15 times from Sunday. I've heard at least from 3 different sources, 3 different times or more, that the Warner Brothers Discovery deal was running out 2 weeks ago. Then it was no, it's actually they extended it till next Sunday. Then it's no, it's actually till next Sunday. Today it was reported, yesterday was officially the last day that they can have exclusive rights to renew the show. And now it is officially, as shows go, a free agent. And it can be bought and purchased and shown by anybody. Well,
right.
Look at it.
What do you want me to say? What do you want me to say? I'm trying to find these quarter hours, pal.
This is where you start doggy paddling. The quarter hours, we can't find them. We're moving on with life.
I did find out this is the second lowest rated AEW Dynamite of their existence. 609 or 605, rather, whatever it was. You know. Yeah, I got.
Where
nothing.
Do you think
I got nothing,
go?
Pal.
Is I guess what I'm asking you now is where do they go? I still maintain they end up on the Cartoon Network. I'm really going to go with this now. No,
I think they're smoked to that fire. There's smoke to that fire, pal. I think they're going to be moved over to Adult Swim to try to get more eyes on Adult Swim. Why not? Why not pay these people instead of I'd like to know what the cost is for a half-hour animated show.
Can you imagine?
And if this is a 2-hour show, Dynamite is, that's 1, 2, 3, 4 half-hour animated shows. What's the cost per year to produce that content as opposed to AEW Dynamite?
Actually, it's funny you asked that. That's how the Cartoon Network got started, was because Warner Brothers on TNT, remember when they used to run the Bugs Bunny hour for like 2 hours a night from like 6 to 8? It turns out it was more expensive to do that than to run their own cartoons and make their own brand, which is how they ended up coming up with the Cartoon Network, believe it or not. So there's a little education piece for you today.
I just found out something on Twitter right now.
What?
Good Lord.
Breaking news.
Trent Beretta. This is breaking news, folks. Trent Beretta, who broke his neck in an AEW ring like 3 years ago.
Yeah, he's out again.
He broke his neck again. Yeah.
I thought that was out. Shit, I think that was out a couple weeks ago.
2 screws in his neck broke.
Yeah, did you not hear that? That came out like 2 weeks ago now.
Did not know that. I think it's time Brent found another job.
No shit, you think?
Jesus, God almighty. It's horrible.
I've got one little piece of news. By the way, thank you all for watching. Please like and subscribe. I know tonight was rough. We appreciate you guys for hanging in there. Super chat's over if you got something to say. There is some Steve Austin news when it comes to wrestling.
Yes.
Did you see this?
Yes. He said he'd never leave Nevada. He likes it so much there. But WrestleMania is going to be in Vegas next year.
And he said, this is what he said. I said I won't leave Nevada. It's hard to get me out of the state. But WrestleMania next year is in Vegas. That's in Nevada. We might be getting our Austin Punk feud in the end of all this shit that we've been waiting for over a decade and a half. If you've never seen it before, there was this awesome promo that Steve Austin cut on CM Punk that it looked like they were going to have a match. I literally think it was a decade and a half ago, where he was just making fun of CM Punk's straight edge lifestyle, just going through him. You see what this is here? This is a brush. What you do is you comb that scraggly ass shit you call hair. I ain't got no fucking hair, but you comb the hair. See this here? This is a toothbrush. You put some toothpaste on it and you brush some little goddamn green Tic Tacs you call gimmicks. It's one of the best promos.
Gimmicks.
It's one of the best promos you've never seen if you haven't seen it. I thought we were going to go somewhere with that. It was absolutely tremendous. Tremendous. I loved everything about it. There's another report that said Shane McMahon attempted a WWE return, but he was thwarted. Well, that's old.
He was rebuffed.
Yeah, that's old news. Rebuffed. I don't know why they're trying to say this is coming back again. As for me, Johnny Bottles, I don't have any other news, notes, or sidewinders to get through today. We've had a tough show given all of our technical difficulties. I want to thank everybody again for tuning in and sticking with us. We had to reset the whole damn board up, and I noticed there were some people in the other chat that didn't come into this one, so that kind of hurts my heart, to be quite honest. I missed you guys. I hope you come back to us. We're sorry. It's not our fault. It's not my damn fault that the shit sucked.
One of the VPs of talent, Dave Lentil, I believe his name was, he said that we're not opposed to working with anybody who left WWE. We're not opposed to working with anyone who wants to come back. Look at all the success we had with CM Punk. He put this statement out there because of the word going out that Shane McMahon wanted to come back to the WWE and was refused.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's just that's a neckbeard swerve, if I may use that term.
Possibly.
Neckbeard's trolling, saying, "Oh, they wouldn't take him back. They wouldn't take him back."
I've got one other note that we got to get to, Johnny, and then it's go home time.
Yes,
but it's a good note. We got to do our SummerSlam preview here, pal.
Oh, we do. Yes,
it's been such a hectic evening. Thank you, John, for reminding me.
I've turned the chat off, pal. It's too distracting.
I'm going to do this.
I'm looking at you, and I got my eye going to the chat.
I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this because it was requested, and this is a long-time sub, and he's pitched it a few times. StreamYard, your mother's a whore! You son of a bitch, StreamYard. We're just trying to put on this podcast, and you open your legs for anybody.
Bust out a little Harley race. What would you do to StreamYard, Harley? Go ahead. Come on now. Pull yourself together.
I can't go from one to the other. That's such a dynamic shift. That's crazy.
God damn you, Don. You're no Rich Little. Go ahead.
I told those motherfuckers at StreamYard. That's still my favorite. That's my favorite story ever of those two right there. It's the Diesel, aka Kevin Nash, talking about when he met Harley and in that one promo that was cut. So I'm going to get to that. SummerSlam preview: CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre. Who you got? Why you got him?
I would say Drew McIntyre wins, and then they have a rematch. I would say he gets screwed over by Seth Rollins.
I think McIntyre wins. I think he wins too.
So
I think there's a lot of screw jobs in this, but I think he beats them fair and square in the end, to be honest. I think there's interference on both ends, which sets up a trios match later on down the line. That's just my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Cody Rhodes versus Solo Sikoa.
I don't think there's going to be a concise winner in this. I think it's going to be a DQ.
You've got to have Roman Reigns come back in this and save Cody.
Yes. Or Jimmy and the Walrus at least come
now. Now, having said that, Randy Orton has been the guy saying he will help and protect and defend Cody from these monsters as they attack him. So that's something to look out for as well. So I don't know where that goes, but I do think Cody Rhodes wins in the end. That's just my opinion.
Right.
Sorry, I got close to this damn thing and it got all bright. Damian Priest versus Gunther.
I think Damian Priest loses.
I think he finally loses. I agree.
Yes.
Here's where we're going to get weird. Bayley versus Nia Jax.
Nia Jax wins this.
Bayley wins. So that's our first crossroads there. I think Bayley wins because everything Nia Jax touches turns to shit. And I can't see this happen again. Women's World Championship match. Liv Morgan versus Rhea Ripley in her imminent comeback.
Liv Morgan wins. Due to a screw job by Dominic Mysterio.
Somehow or another, somebody gets hosed in this, and it's going to be Rhea Ripley. I agree with you completely. Logan Paul versus LA Knight.
I think they're going to make a change. I think LA Knight will take this title, his first singles title, and his first title at all, I believe, in WWE. Not counting the NXT title with $1 million title. I think he won the $1 million title down in NXT from Cameron Grimes. It was on loan from Ted DiBiase. He had it for 2 or 3 weeks. Go ahead.
I think LA Knight has to win. I think if you don't put a belt on him right now, I think that's why everything goes to shit. Which, by the way, the reason I say you're going to have just a 2 title switching is because they like to keep that balance of how many heels versus how many baby faces have major and mid titles, right? So if you're going to put the major title on a heel, you put that mid title on a baby face, right? You follow me?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm with you.
Sami Zayn versus Braun Breaker.
They're making a change.
I think Braun wins. I think it's time.
Yes.
I think Sami Zayn somehow is going to end up back in the bloodline for Survivor Series, and it's going to get weird, folks. It's going to get really super weird.
He made it a big point to say on the promo this past Monday, first time back in the ring with his homie, his boy, Jey Uso.
I did catch on to that.
Yes.
I did catch on to that. There was one other part about SummerSlam I want to talk about real quick.
What's
they
that?
moved the pre-show now. It's going to be 3 hours. They extended it for 2 hours, which leads me to believe they have to have something planned. There's got to be like some dark matches or some other kind of thing going on, some form of entertainment. I can't imagine sitting around for 3 hours watching a bunch of bullshit with them just talking. Well, who do you think is going to win the match? I don't know. Who do you think is going to win the match? I can't see that shit.
It's going to be a lot of hoopla with the bloodline. Don't be surprised if Heyman comes back and he sits in on the pre-show maybe, or you show him in the parking garage getting out of a vehicle.
No questions, please. and just keeps walking.
Yes.
And there's no, and I could see that, something like that. They've got to do something to spice it up is sort of my point. They got to do something.
Sure.
So, okay. That's all I've got for this evening. Again, I want to thank everybody for tuning in, for liking and subscribing. I want to appreciate y'all for sticking through this. We'll be back Sunday, God willing, and the creek don't rise, as they say. Johnny, you're going to go to the Blue Oyster tomorrow, like you were saying?
No Blue Oyster for me, pal. No Blue Oyster for me. I've got a little clip from Comic-Con, if you'd like to see it.
Oh, God, I swear if this is the Mercedes Monet shit, please don't. Please don't.
Yes, it is.
Why
she received virtually no reaction whatsoever.
But you're talking about when she tried to do that CEO shit.
Viewers, you be the judge. Let me hit play.
Oh my God!
It's the worst. It's just the worst. I don't understand this. I don't understand.
I do.
Have you heard that Abdullah the Butcher is in bad shape right now?
He's been in bad shape for like 5 years, 10 years.
Well, he's finally in the hospital right now. And he's in ICU. And we can say what we would about the learning tree, Chris Jericho. But Chris Jericho donated $2,500 towards his medical fees and then GoFundMe. When the old timers, the heroes of yesteryear in professional wrestling, are on the ropes, no pun intended, Chris Jericho is always there to drop. I've seen him drop 10 grand.
No, I'll give him credit for that. He is there to help out ex-wrestlers, and God bless him for that. He is a good guy in that regard. There's no denying that. There's nothing else you could say about that. He is a great guy.
Speculation and conjecture from the Twitter account of Brad Shepard Unleashed. There have been multiple incidents in AEW involving Britt Baker. She got into it with, I think she's a backstage interviewer, Alicia Atout. There was a big scene backstage in the women's locker room because Mariah May used the sling blade in one of her matches. And that's a move that Britt does. There was also an issue between Britt and Will Washington, the former podcaster and writer from Fightful.com. He's Swerve Strickland's cousin. He's one of the heads of creative in the back. He writes the promos for the black wrestlers, the black entertainers on the show.
That's what you've heard.
On his own admission.
They're just African Americans?
That's what Conan said on Keep It 100. He says,
okay.
Will Washington introduced by himself to me, and he says this is what he does. Only the black wrestlers is who he writes the promos for. Okay, so there was heat with Britt and Will Washington because she refused to take creative direction from him. And Will even filed an HR complaint against Britt Baker at that time. So she's making friends in the short amount of time she's been back.
She likes people. She's a friendly lass. She is.
She's great. Just great. And the payroll for AEW, Don, is the neckbeards are reeling from this. They can't believe it's over $100 million.
Well, by their own admission in Vegas. By their own admission in Vegas.
By their own admission. Can't believe it. They absolutely cannot believe it. They reported $217 million in expenditures while bringing in $190 million in revenue last year. So every year they've been in the red. Every freaking year.
Well, that does surprise me.
And again, Mercedes, I've got one last thing.
Please, no more Mercedes. Really? Come on.
Because of all the speculation, data, conjecture, all the gossip and all that good stuff they're all talking about on Twitter. You know, all the kids, Don, all the kids with the poor hygiene are on Twitter talking about it. And they're probably pleasing themselves furiously.
I don't want to talk about Twitter anymore. Uzi has got
her own video up. She put her own video up, Don, on her own YouTube channel. It's Monet Talks. It's a podcast. She's got her own podcast now, Don. And she talks in depth about her divorce from, Mikaze. Little Mikaze.
Let me ask you something, Johnny.
Yes.
Before we go. Are you going to watch that shit?
What?
Mercedes Monet talk about her divorce.
What were you with drugs?
I'm asking.
Of course not.
I know a guy that would never watch that shit.
He never watched that shit. He'd rather watch Lalani Kai.
Till next week, Gordon Soley saying so long from the Sunshine State.